The most significant power-ups in Disinherited have always been the relics. A couple weeks ago, I was refining that system. I limited the number of relics you could equip at a time, and then gave them bead slots that you could fill with the beads. These would both empower the relics and enable the effects of the beads. And I mentioned that you would be able to transform relics into other relics via beads. This week, I got way deeper into this part of the game design mine, and I think that I struck some pretty shiny gems that I'd like to share with you today. So let's get into it. I'm Dryden Thomas, and I'm developing Disinherited. It's a side-scrolling roguelike game where you throw, catch, and parry your way through Death's domain to slay the Grim Reaper and claim eternal life, all to spite your father, who cut you out of his will. Okay, so we all played Vampire Survivors last year, right? I definitely played my fair share of it, and while it's a little more passive than I generally like to be while gaming, the most compelling part of it for me was the item fusion. The desire to uncover all of the recipes really activated my sense of curiosity. And that resonates with some familiar design principles, right? Gradual discovery is a huge motivator for humans. And so many games make use of this. Metroidvanias use space tormenting you with these locked gates that you have to explore a different area in order to come back and unlock. But in roguelikes, it seems to be the tools and the mechanics that inspire the curiosity that keeps you coming back. But here's the interesting thing. Even after discovering all the recipes, it didn't take away from the excitement of a run. Instead, I started just approaching it more scientifically. Like, okay, if I can just get this spinach, I'll be able to evolve my fire wand into a hellfire. Alright, I'm using the King's Bible this time, and that pairs really well with Bracer because the speed of the projectiles increases the DPS. And it's still exciting to get what it is you need because you've been looking for it and anticipating it. And that sudden spike in power you get when everything comes together is deeply satisfying. And this is the second lesson about power-up design. There's a Polygon video that came out a couple weeks ago about playing cards that really made this come together for me. Like, I remember the first time I found a duo boon in Hades. I didn't even know they were a thing, and then here come Aphrodite and Ares saying that every enemy that I charm is gonna get hit with doom, and then you feel absolutely ridiculously powerful after that. Even non-roguelikes use this sudden burst of power. Anyone who's ever evolved a Pokémon knows what that feels like. And Pokémon is where this ended up. While I was explaining this relic evolution idea, as a visual gag I put in an Eevee evolution chart where the beads took the place of the various elemental stones. But then I started thinking, and then I opened up a Miro board, and then I remembered how I'd sorted all the relics into where on your body they would be equipped. And then I thought about Eevee again. What if all these relics I've been creating for the past 9 months have been the second form of some precursor relics, like a baby Pokemon evolution that I hadn't made yet? It started with the shields. They have been with us since very early in the summer. And I've long thought of them as fusing into Aegis Cosmia, the way that Vampire Survivors relics do. But once I laid these out on the board, it felt more natural to make a path from each of them into Aegis Cosmia. And before either of them, a baby relic, the Rusted Shield. These past couple weeks while drawing, I've been listening to a book called The Dawn of Everything. It's about archaeology and civilization and society, and in particular how the lenses we use to look at the past are colored by and color our outlook on the present. And it kind of gave me an epiphany about this. By attaching your prayer beads to these old, tattered, dusty things, it's kind of like venerating them or offering your perspective on them. When you bring that relic to the polisher, he sees in them what you see in them. So this rusty shield becomes literally the shield of a sun god or a moon goddess. Narratively, this theme of transformation through force of will is already woven all the way through Disinherited. In fact, you might even say that it's what the magic of Death's domain is built on. So yeah, the deeper I dig on this, the more correct it feels. I went ahead and drew 8 of these baby form relics this week, but there will be more. In addition to the rusty shield, you've got the leaky cup, the dusty bag, the old shoes, the dull knife, the threadbare cloth, the bent stick, and the cracked orb. These will all have effects of their own, and there may well be situations where you want to keep them as they are for a build, just adding more and more bead slots and powering up that effect. Having this framework made me go pretty wild. Suddenly, it's super easy to think of new relics. You just take one of these base ones, add a bead type to it, and imagine what that might be like aesthetically or mechanically. For example, back to the shields. Obviously, these are going to be themed around defense. You have the Onyx bead, which increases your heavy bash damage, and you start to think about what kinds of defensive enhancements a bash build might want. Since you'll be facing down your opponents at close range, having more defense from the front seems like an attractive option. The Midnight Pavis, a black tower shield, feels like an aesthetic fit. Adding Sunstone beads, which give you an additional air jump, will produce the Cirrus Buckler. It's a light shield that increases your defense when airborne, which presumably you will be a lot if you have lots of air jumps. Pair this with the Cirrus wings that let you float down slowly, and you've got a build cooking. Or maybe you're a speed demon. The Mercurial Kite raises your defense based on your current velocity so that you can fling yourself into the enemy. And this will pair well with Caduceus, which raises your bash damage based on your current velocity. But okay, I don't want to give everything away, even though I did design several more relics than these this week. And that's not even mentioning all the traumatic refactoring I did. But we'll get into that more next time when we've got a more well-themed video for it. For now, thank you so much to my channel members, especially Yoji and Emil Skov in the Ascended Lighthoof tier, and Ajhavok in the Reaper Council. And thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.